Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're gonna talk about Sony ZV-E10. So let's dive right into it. Now, what exactly is this? This is a basically low budget vlogging camera. So this is almost like how Nikon D3100 was this. So same thing is here, APS-C sensor, interchangeable lens, and it's a vlogging camera. Basically they are focusing a lot on making it video centric, and not to mention it's very beginner friendly. So the starting price as of now when I'm making this video is not launched in India. So in India it's like available soon. So in US price is around A6100, so around $700. Now that's a bit less than A6100, and if in India it comes to around, let's say, 60,000 rupees, that would be good. But if it's like bit lower than that, that's really awesome. So that's the price point of this. And apologize for power cut. Now it's simple and easy to use for starters. Like this camera is inherently focused in such a way that it's not gonna basically confuse you to a point where you're like, what the hell it is. Like, it does not even have a mode dial. It just have like image, video, slow and fast. So it's a rather simple. It's like a complete different type of equipment than other Sony equipments. So what is the use of this kind of equipment? Is because very low end, not like A7S III. So what's the use of this? Streaming and content creators. Basically, streaming at this point in time is very serious business. Now, most of people who are dealing with video conference, lockdowns and all that, just we are using very low end equipment. But you may end up in a scenario where you are working for a corporation, and corporation using corporate grade webcams. Now, be mindful, those corporate grade webcams cost a lot. They are not even available. Like, you go to Logitech product, it does not even show up. It's like Logitech business, like $2,000, $5,000. Yeah, there's a whole world of that. Like, whenever you see in movies they are doing conference call, it's like, why the heck is such a high quality? I used to think like this is a fake system. No, turns out there is a whole another world of streaming which is dedicated for rich people and big corporation, where the quality is very high. And worst case scenario, you have to do that from your house. If you're gonna show up with a low grade laptop webcam, good luck. So streaming is very important, again, especially if you are doing any classes, online classes. You want to your student to see the goddamn content properly. So streaming is a very important thing. Then content creators, because even though many people still don't take this ecosystem seriously, it's big enough, that I'm making money, other people are making money, other people are paying taxes, other people are employing other people. So basically it's a very big deal at this point in time, and companies realize that. So the more and more equipment they start to basically offer up, the better the chance of customer grab is. Because you have to understand, whenever you buy equipment of this caliber, it's not buy and forget. It's not a point and shoot camera. It's like, oh, I bought once Olympus, then I bought Panasonic, then I bought Sony, then I bought Nikon. You can't do that. This is the ecosystem. Once you buy it, you are almost stuck into it permanently. So you buy Nikon, start with Nikon, you're gonna end with Nikon. You start with Canon, you're gonna end with Canon. You're gonna start with Sony, you're gonna end with Sony. So fundamentally, that's why every company is trying to give you as much basically good things as low price as possible, so you get trapped into the system. Now it's a very system is like very beginner friendly. Do not, like, if you are actually very high level, you may find this camera to be very tedious, because again the many buttons, dials and all that jazz, they cost a lot of money. So Sony was like, I don't want to make it bit more expensive, so they simplified it a bit. And it's a good entry point into Sony ecosystem, because even if you are like hey, I'm never gonna go into full frame, it's too big, it's too expensive for me, fine, no problem. You still have a lot of Sony first party selections in lenses when it comes to APS-C, and you do not have the side effect of what Canon has. Like, Canon has like almost 4 lens mounts. They have EF mount, I think, that is for APS-C, EF mount, that is for full frame, they have M mount, which is for APS-C, and the APS-C mirrorless, and then they have RF for full frame. So fundamentally they have 4 lens mount, and intercompatibility is very hit or miss, and it's like confusing for the honor. It's like, does this lens work with this? Sony is like, everything is E mount. Heck, you can even use APS-C lens into full frame for some reason. Like, let's say you bought the full frame body, it was available for a really low price, you just like, hey, let me buy it. You can still use it, it won't be amazing, but you can still use it at least. So in this sort of scenario, you have a lot of APS-C lens selection from Sony and Tamron and Sigma. And Sigma and Tamron, they provide amazing. Tamron specifically provides really good zoom lenses, and Sigma provide amazing prime lenses. And prime lenses are so good at this point in time that if you take like let's say APS-C f1.8, it's good, as in like it's so good that if you shoot and if you know what you're doing, you can easily make it match with much higher quality camera. So camera won't be a limiting point, nor the ecosystem. So it is really healthy. That's the another aspect. Going into Sony, you won't resent it or regret it. You won't be like, M mount, like let's buy Canon's latest and greatest EF mount. Yeah, it does not work on that. So That's there. Another aspect is Sony is really pushing forward their audio equipment. Basically, they have a shotgun mic which is really high quality, and it works on the interface into hot shoe itself, so you do not need extra cable, battery, or things of that nature. Really important. Then you have wireless kit also, and there is a professional kit also which allows you to input XLR mic input, so you can have such a low end camera and you can have a very high end audio. So let's say for some reason people buy used music equipment, so they end up very high quality audio equipment. You can interface that epic audio into this thing. Awesome, one stop shop. So it's a really good use case scenario for this, and it can do direct USB live streaming. So if you just connect it via USB-C to USB-C, done, it's acting as a webcam. You have to set the menu to USB streaming. So what are the pros of this puppy? Well, it's a Sony's reliable autofocus. At this point in time, if you are having trouble with Sony's autofocus, either it's a defective equipment or you're doing something weird. So fundamentally, Sony is at this point in time very reliable. Eye autofocus, video autofocus, at this point in time, it's like you can count on it. So like same way I'm counting on my Canon 800D, it's the same thing. So it's something that you do not have to worry. It's not like Panasonic, it's not like Olympus, it's not like Nikon. You can count on it. Another aspect, flip out screen. Now flip out screen is missing in A6100, 6400, 6600, and A6100 I always used to recommend people, because while everybody is like, oh, it does not have log file, how many people actually go into the log file and actually color grade it properly? Trust me, it's like, it's not worth it. Especially again, if you have 10-bit file which is A7S3, then it's worth it, because then it color really pops, then you can really make it look cinematic. But low bit is not that worth it. Everybody thinks that they want it. It's just like, do you have the pipeline for that? So for beginners, it's not really desirable. So A6100 was really good. So this is almost same thing, but they have removed the electronic viewfinder and removed the stupid flip up screen to flip out screen. So if you have any equipment on top, hot shoe mount, or even basically dead rabbit on top of it, it won't obstruct your view. And even for mic input, if you have to use independent mic input, the jack is independent, a small section, so it's not going to take a giant chunk here, it's going to take a small chunk here. That's very thoughtful. And mic input, as in like, that's one thing that people neglect when they're starting out any streaming sort of career or vlogging and all that jazz. They do not want to invest in, like, I'm invested in Zoom H1n. It's still expensive, and I do recommend people start as a starting kit is Rode Wireless Go 2. Now it's expensive as hell. Now it's really good equipment, but expensive as hell. So many people skip on that. Or maybe they are in a position, it's like, I bought the camera, now I'm low on money, I have to save for a few months. The inbuilt mic system is really good here. Not the latest and greatest, it's not gonna compete against like proper audio equipment, but good enough. And especially if you are in a sound control scenario, it's good enough. And if you do a lot of audio processing on that, you can make it so good that it's like people won't notice it. They're like, okay, it's good. It's not the latest and greatest, but it's good. So that's another aspect of it. And it also has headphone out. Now that's a small thing, but if you are capturing someone, and like, let's say somebody is doing interview and you are doing that, having that is really, really important. So fundamentally, it's a really good tool specifically built to give you as much as possible at low cost as possible. So compared to A6100, you get better basically log profiles. Again, log profiles require a lot of work on your end to make it look good. Default profile, minor tweakings, that's done. File comes into your editor, you edit it, done, go home. Log profile, you need to grade it, and messing it up is much more easier than people realize. So that's the limitation. If you need electronic viewfinder, you need bit more shooting style, it's specifically in still shots, you may enjoy A6100. But if you're not like, I'm not gonna dive into PhD into menu systems, this is good. Now what are the cons of this system? Well, I genuinely hate the system. It's like every company, including Nikon, including Canon, including Sony, they started after the pandemic, started to release software that should allow their camera to act as a webcam. All of them are garbage. Like literally, Canon is the best case scenario. That's like, they can barely do 20 FPS at full HD, barely. And compression effect is very bad. Sony, barely 15 FPS. Like there is an individual who did all this testing, it's like all are flat out useless. Unless new generations of camera, like specifically some new Nikons and some new Sonys, they have an actual chip that does the conversion, then you get some good product. For example, this has that. However, it's limited to 720p at 30 FPS. I'm like, what the hell? I do get it. Like people do not want to increase very high resolution. And again, it is absolutely true that this puppy can easily beat Elgato's $200 webcam. Again, even if it is full HD or 60 FPS, unless you need that exact 60 FPS, this is more than good enough. And you have the benefit of lens, which cannot be replicated. So there are some actual benefit in this, but this was really disappointing. I did not expect 4K, but full HD 60 FPS, come on. That could have been done. Heck, you can buy that HDMI to converter chip for less than 1000 rupees, like few bucks, because Elgato developed that chip and that chip is now mass produced everywhere. So Sony could have easily implemented that. That's very disappointing. And even though when it's directly acting as a webcam, it will lose battery life. So you have to be mindful of that battery remains completely charged, or sometimes people will simply buy a dummy battery. But again, if you're going to that extent for streaming dummy battery, just use a HDMI capture. You will get much higher quality, or you can even go to 4K, although not needed for, like, even if you are doing a game stream, even your game is 4K, you don't want your face to be in 4K. You're like, okay, full HD, good enough. So that was something a bit disappointing. But you have to understand, electronic stabilization is like, okay, it's not bad, but it's like really not that good. So what does that mean? That simply means at this point in time, you can buy a low-end Android smartphone. On handheld performance, they might beat this puppy, even with basically lens stabilization. Stabilization is one thing that Sony engineers have not figured out yet. Like in very high end, it's manageable, but like it's not good. However, that's not a deal breaker, because whenever you are talking about something like this, most of the time people are always considering gimbals with that, and because of the lightweight of it, and because of the fact that you can buy a lot of APS-C lenses which are very light, you can do amazing work with that. Like you can add stabilization. You can't fix other things like that. For example, 30-minute recording, this does not have that. Now you bought some other equipment that has 30-minute limit, you're like, oh damn, like you can solve the image stabilization with gimbals, you can't solve the 30-minute limit. Same old sensor with the rolling shutter is like, what the hell? Like Sony has been releasing that for 4 years at this point in time. Come on. But I get it. I don't complain that much about that. But that USB thing really does bother me. It's like, come on, you could have done that. That sensor, I can buy that for 1000 rupees. That I can buy that for $20 maybe. So fundamentally, Sony could have done that. They just choose not to. And this Sony Japanese ego thing, no touchscreen. What the hell? Sony A7S III is the greatest Sony camera they ever made. Not because like it is greatest in terms of performance or visual quality or anything like. It's good, but like what's good about that is like somebody sat down, is like, okay, what does the customer want? Customer want to goddamn touch the screen. This is from Sony itself. Sony's like, this is touch screen. It's like, what can you do in that? You have removed the mode dial, so many things that people do with buttons and dials you can't do on this camera. And touch screen menu is non-touch. It's like, what the hell? Like engineer put the electrical there. And again, I get it, like Japanese people, like our ego must come forward, like Betamax must survive. Again, it has happened. So that is really frustrating. It's like I was expecting them to learn, to grow, and like you have done that. You have seen how good the response has from A7S III, and they're still not introduced. Like this would be really problematic for people who are not used to like convoluted menu. It's like, what the hell? And the first thing they will do is try to touch it, because again, smartphone generation. They're like, what the hell? Why the heck touchscreen is not working? It's there for autofocus mode. Like, why? You don't even need to do that. Like, especially if you're doing personal system, you're gonna rely on eye autofocus, which is really good. So it's like, this is really insulting. It's like, we're gonna give them old menu. It's like, you're giving us old hardware. We get it. You are giving us 4 or 6 years old sensor. I'm okay with that. But please keep the good goddamn menu system. And people don't understand how important this is. Like, think of it this way. Sony had 8-year head start in mirrorless space. And yet Canon randomly comes into the scene and starts to displace Sony. Now again, Sony is still in like, first or second position, and they're very close to each other. Nikon is in really bad position. But like, why the heck Canon had that kind of response? Simply because its menu system is useful. Compared to Sony, it's like it's a miracle, how good Canon system is. Like, learn, goddamn Sony, learn to give good menu system. Don't cripple your own equipment with like, Japanese ego. So that's one thing that is really bad. Like, you have to work with this camera. This camera will not work for you. So this was my presentation on Sony APS-C new camera, vlogging camera. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon for free, and as always, thanks for watching.